Welcome to another video talking about your performance in Final Fantasy XIV. First of all, thank you for your amazing feedback and your kind words on my recent video. That really helped me in getting back my mindset and creating videos and having the motivation to return to the daily work of Desperius. Okay, what this video is all about. This video should help you in getting your perfect performance and your perfect settings. That you can play Final Fantasy to the point where you like the graphical appearance and also like the performance and have a good performance to work with and to play with. First of all, like I told in the last video or in recent videos about the filters from NVIDIA, these make a heavy difference. For example, if you check this up, this would be with filters applied and this would be without filters, so we have a nice sharpening effect, nice color grading, and we don't lose much of a performance. So this mostly affects your graphical appearance while not having any impact on your performance or any really significant impact on your performance. So I really think that apart from all the in-game settings, try to apply these NVIDIA filters that can also be applied as the Radeon settings. I think you can work through your Radeon settings in any case, and you have sharpening effects and all that stuff. Okay, so check out this video for further information about it. And of course, the second opportunity is G-Shade, of course. G-Shade is something that really makes a difference here, graphical-wise, but as you could directly see, the performance hit is insane. And yeah, mostly the characters and the background animations look way better on G-Shade, but if you're having this applied and want to see a real difference, I think G-Shade doesn't work properly when being on gameplay. There are gameplay settings and gameplay presets, but I don't think that you see much of a difference without losing at least 10 FPS or anything like that. And this is where the NVIDIA filters are way better, because you lose around 5 to 10 FPS, but have quite a significant impact. So yeah, check out the video I made about G-Shade. There are 2 videos already about how to install it and how you can configure that to your own custom desires. But what are we talking about? First of all, some little things that if you don't know them till now, these are very important actually for getting your performance where you want it. The character lighting is very important for, on this way, if you put this to 0, your character won't be displayed in a highlighted version. So if you're having this, I don't know what is the default setting actually. I think this is very different on all the UIs that you have and your UI settings. But I think something around 50 is the sweet spot, because otherwise at 100 it doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right, because it looks like your character is being lighted by an unnatural source that isn't active anywhere. So being highlighted a bit is nice, but I don't think highlighting too much is very fruitable here and fruitful for your graphical appearance. Okay. The second thing that is very important, check out my latest performance hardware video if you don't have any clue about what is FPS, what is graphical performance, what does your GPU and your CPU do to actually render your game and display your game. So check out the video in the description about that topic. Nonetheless, limiting your FPS to the refresh rate of your monitor or your screen is the most important thing. Otherwise, you're just wasting your power and wasting electricity and all that stuff for nothing, because your screen can't display it. Your screen can only display what its refresh rate is capped to, is limited to. So for my example, I limited my screen to 100 FPS while it's able to have 144 Hz refresh rate, but I think I can't reach this comfortably with my graphical settings and my gameplay and everything like that. So I capped it to 100, and this works perfectly with Final Fantasy at the moment in QHD resolution. So of course, this is the second thing. Your resolution is significantly impacting your performance, but yeah, that is another topic. Check out the hardware video and learn more about that thing. And limit frame rate when client is inactive is something, if you're multitasking, if you're browsing the web while being active in any queue or anything like that, this is very important to, just reduce the stress on your GPU and your CPU that would otherwise be wasted because you can't see the FPS difference, and the smoothness of your camera movements only makes sense if you're moving the camera, if you're moving anything, or if you're using that. So try to limit that unless you're not, unless you're streaming or having everything active and want to have a nice background of your gameplay, whatever. Limit FPS when away from keyboard is the second thing that I want to highlight here, because if you're being AFK, if someone calls you and you have to rush to a door or have to do something very quickly and leave your game where it was, then this is a good alternative or solution to just, after 5 minutes, being reduced, the stress level being reduced on your GPU, and this being done automatically by the game itself. Okay, so for every change that goes into the details, into the graphical settings, make sure that you always click this none feature, because then your GPU won't be limited from anything, and your refresh rate, and you can see how much your settings impact your performance. Otherwise you're easily just limited by 100 FPS or 60 FPS, whatever your screen's refresh rate is, and you don't see the difference from what your changes improve or anything like that. Especially when being on the maximum settings and hitting that 60 Hz already, you don't see the difference and can't tell what each change is doing. Okay, so for really seeing the difference, my guess is to go down and then just go up. So from being low, the lowest preset on the standard laptop, which is the lowest that you can have access to, work yourself up to the graphical quality you want. And as you can see from telling the difference, you really have to go into detail in this game to see the differences. This is mostly shadows or occlusion and lighting quality mostly, but the visual appearance, the overall image of it mostly is drawn from your resolution. And my personal tip is just apply these filters. These make much more a difference than having highest settings or anything like that. Still, start from standard and do something that works for yourself and that you think is you are comfortable with. And as you can see, we half and cut the FPS we get into half when going to the max settings in my graphical hardware settings. So take a note that my hardware is very strong right now for getting all that streaming stuff done and recording in QHD resolution to make the pictures, the videos a bit more nice and detailed and stuff like that. So this is actually a high-end build. Don't see this as a standard or a measure for you, and go for it by yourself. So what do we change here, and what is the most important thing that you can change and that affects your performance? For my personal thing and what I experienced so far, the screen space ambient occlusion is the big deal here. If you just go to HBAO plus and quality, this already decreases the performance by around 30 FPS. Whatever you change in the other settings, this is actually a performance drop of 30%. So think for yourself if this does make a change. You have to look at all these rocks and the background and all the terrain and environment. This is heavily affected by HBO. Let's check the difference here. We have way better shadows on all the background stuff and all the environment. I personally leave this unchecked if I'm live streaming or if I'm playing by myself. The moment I'm recording for maximum quality with G-Shade on and stuff like that, I leave everything on max. So if you can just go the easy way, just put everything to maximum settings and just click this to off, and you already have a nice performance. So this is actually the best performance that you can have out of the box when just changing one setting. But to be honest, I think there's more. There's more, and this video should serve you as finding your personal sweet spot. So yeah, get to the lowest preset and see what each of these changes affect to your graphical performance, because I think having them inactive and activating them is the best indicator for you to tell if you can see the actual difference. I don't know at which daytime you should do these settings. I think doing this on the real daytime and having the day lighting effects being in-game could be the better option, but I don't think that this differs much. So go in the game and yeah, see what you can change there and how that affects your graphical subjectivity and how you can see all the differences. So these are being addressed, so these are staying as active. You could change that, but I don't think that Square would go onto the lowest preset and leave them checked, so they seem to not affect your performance heavily or in any way that it would matter. This is something, texture detail, movement physics, and the shadows on the characters. This really makes a difference when you're having group content. Otherwise, you cannot see the difference because you only display your own shadow, and if you don't display it, then of course you're losing some quality because it really looks dumb. It really looks dumb that your character is not laying any shadow at all. But of course, if you're really going into gameplay, you could unlock or could hide the shadow of your own character as well. But to be honest, that doesn't make sense, I think. So at least your shadow should be displayed always to make it a bit more realistic. Otherwise, it just looks like a flat terrain 2D animation. I don't know. But yeah, do that to your own desire and how you feel right about it. Okay, shadow is actually the second most impactful part of this settings, because you can see from the tree's shadows, for example, that there's a significant difference in how you get the shadow resolution to high, and especially the shadow cascading, which makes a true difference, and shadow softening as well. So yeah, this is a perfect daytime to see the difference in all these shadow effects. So thank you, Eorzea Daytime, for helping us with this. So now we are running on the weakest settings and clicking that to the highest one possible. Ah, okay, no, they actually changed the moment I clicked it. Okay, so you can see the difference from this tree, for example. This really makes a difference, but something you could neglect. But of course, shadow cascading should be at least went to normal. And in my personal opinion, I think best is way better, because then you have shadows at all. If you don't display them, you can see there are no shadows to these trees that make them look very weird and not being in place with the whole environment. So having them active, even when losing some performance that you definitely do, not significantly, but something, so do it. And of course, this is the next example, the little enemy there, the tree enemy. If you display the shadows for other NPCs or enemies, you will have this one. And this doesn't make a significant impact and have a significant impact on your performance when you're just standing idle and doing nothing. But as soon as you're hopping into party content or being in cities and stuff like that, this really makes a difference. So try to adjust this if your performance drops significantly when being in A-rank trains or in 24-man raids or anything like that. And the shadow resolution, to be honest, it doesn't look so bad being at lowest possible resolution here, because I think otherwise they still look a bit blurry, and the edges of these shadows are not so worked out. So just being as flat shadow area is nothing that looks so bad, to be honest. But of course, yeah, I think the highest setting is still the most natural one, and something you should definitely consider doing. And yeah, this is shadow softening, which definitely has a quite heavy impact, because like I said, having these shadows being displayed at all and not being on low could be something that you can do, but at least the shadow softening is something you should work with, because otherwise it just is a flat area, and an area that is, while being a flat area, still being pixelated some sort of, and that doesn't look nice. So shadow softening is kind of a must-do setting for reaching a certain level of quality at least. Okay, so these can be adjusted according to your performance and how you have interactions with objects and party especially. You can adjust that. I don't know if this makes a difference. I think not a very visual difference, so you should check this all the time, maybe. Yeah, let's go for the highest setting. Okay, like I said, shadows on the party members do only affect your performance when you're being in party with other players, so yeah, just try to adjust that according to your party and go from there and try it out piece by piece. Okay, we still have a very nice FPS value, and this is mostly because of the screen space ambient occlusion still. And yeah, I think this is my gameplay setting. If you would go for gameplay only, this would be my gameplay setting. It would still look nice, you could still apply filters and still have a good FPS and quality relation. Okay, so now to the glare effect. I like glare effects, so this is always being put up to maximum. I don't think this affects your performance significantly, maybe on spell effects. So if you're having attached all spell effects on your characters, then you should maybe turn this off, or if you're going for performance, then should turn this off, but otherwise it doesn't affect the overall performance on your screen. Okay, so tessellation is another thing that I think has been added in Shadowbringers, or at least in pre-Shadowbringers patches, and this is something that really affects your performance. Not at this non-moving image, but I think as soon as you're having effects, battle effects and combat animations, this will really make a difference. And this directly leads us to parallax occlusion. This changes the logical behavior, or the highest and lowest frequency area of the environment. So look at the ground, for example, to get a sort of understanding what this means or how this looks. For me personally, I don't see a big of a difference, but of course, as you can see, I think we have more details in between these grassy areas, but to be honest, they look like garbage, so why shouldn't we enhance this? I know this may be something on higher resolution textures that really affect your performance, and that really has something to do with an enhancement on the graphical part, but if you're going for a good relation, leave this on the normal setting and don't put this too high. The next one is grass quality. This makes much of a difference, both visually and performance wise. So if you put this too high, you have a way heavier area or way more grass details being displayed, as you can see from the background, for example. Look at the background here. Doing this to normal removes some of these fields, and going to the low setting removes many of them. I think grass still looks a bit bad in Final Fantasy XIV, but for having a very natural background image, it's very nice to have it on high settings. But of course, this affects your performance heavily, so if you can neglect some grass details, then you should definitely leave this on low, or I think turning this off. This looks very bad. Yeah, this I cannot recommend to turn this off completely, because somehow this really doesn't look like a grassy area, or you just have a plain ground here. That doesn't make sense at all. So going for low is something you should definitely take into consideration. You don't need high maybe if you're really going for performance, but going onto low at least, or yeah, getting the balance maybe with normal setting. This is actually a good idea, I think. Yeah. Okay, so transparent lighting quality. This is something that really makes a difference, but a difference that I can't tell you with just looking at the background or any lighting effects. And I don't think this has something to do with the mist that you can see sometimes when, yeah, for example, when the rain is appearing. Look at these misty spots here. I think these should be changed when I put this to normal. Ah, yeah. They do. Maybe in a lower resolution. But to be honest, I can't tell the difference. I can't tell the difference. We maybe can go to the water area and try it out if that makes a difference, because I think this is good for the real-time reflections as well. They do make a difference in water animations. So yeah, this is where water has been changed significantly. Let's see. Okay, so transparent lighting quality on water. Okay, it does make a difference. As you can see, it looks more realistically maybe. I would tell to look more realistically, but to be honest, I can't tell you if that looks better or worse. So maybe if you're always measuring performance and quality and don't want to go all in with quality, yeah, you should just leave it. Just leave it where it is on normal settings and don't put it up. Okay, the next one. I would skip anti-aliasing because this is another very significant thing. Real-time reflections. Here we go with all water effects and all that stuff. And as you can see from the background, there is a significant change that is visually noticeable. And yeah, as you can see, we have onto the water surface, we have the reflection of the castle. Otherwise, going to off, you won't have that reflection. This, of course, makes a significant performance difference, but I think also is visible for being having a realistic lighting and reflection effect. So I don't know how this is displayed on high. I think they are using details of the reflections. Low or standard doesn't work very well. But yeah, as you can see, the performance makes a true difference if you're just hiding it completely or going to the maximum setting. So yeah, I think maximum setting looks way better, looks way more realistic, but as soon as you're not having real-time reflections anywhere, having sort of reflections on water areas or anything that can cause a reflection, to be honest, then you should just toggle it off and you won't see that much of a difference. Okay, anti-aliasing. This is something I'm a complete personal, having a whole personal opinion to, because I don't think that anti-aliasing in Final Fantasy XIV is great, because we have a very smudged image on certain details, especially on the character. So if you're not working with NVIDIA filters or any heavy sharpening effect or anything like that, you should definitely just leave it off. If you're having filters applied, or if you want to go all in and have very high resolution, for example on 4K resolution or anything like that, I think this will make a difference. But this also makes a difference on the performance department. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not certain about that. You should maybe just leave it checked. If you're not sure about this, if your image just looks too sharp on certain areas, like the grass, for example, here, then you should definitely use it. But if you think you're missing sharpness or your game is missing details, then you should definitely turn this off. You can see this from grass. You can see this from the background, the trees, for example. Sorry, I'm getting all time this G-shade notification because it works with anti-aliasing by itself. yeah, if you think you have a crispier image without it, or if you think you have a too crisp image for having edges to be too sharp, then you should definitely leave this on the off setting. Okay, something that hasn't something to do with your concrete graphical settings, but with your performance, is that limiting the characters that can be displayed. Therefore, let us just move to Limsa Luminsa. This is the best example for this. What this does is it limits the value and the number of characters that can be displayed at once. So naturally the FPS will drop in these city areas like always, because it will render more players that have their own animations and all that stuff, and you have to adjust this according to your preference, of course, like always. So I'm having this on minimum because the quantity is lower than, and you can have open windows, which does affect that as well, but I think you can focus on the character and object quantity. And as you can see, I'm having maximum quantity, so we avoid having people pop into the screen or very unnaturally being displayed after I reach a certain level of visual distance. So now we have them displayed until the far edge of this corridor, for example. If I just decrease that to low, for example, some people will disappear, but my performance will be affected, of course. Oh yeah, by the way, here you can set the auto AFK settings to anything up to 60 minutes. If you just go to minimum, you will have only people being displayed right next to you. Something that I don't like about this setting is that people are just popping in as soon as you're coming next to them, and that just doesn't look natural, and it looks stupid sometimes, very strange. So I at least keep this to low or normal, so that you have at least the maximum capacity of people being next to you to be displayed. But yeah, of course, if you're going to maximum, this will heavily decrease your performance as you're having displayed many people on your screen, on your visual appearance. So yeah, check this up and do this according to your own desires and preference. Another thing that is very important and that many people are wondering how to change that is that how you can change your battle effects. And this is something I really want to emphasize on, because I think this also affects your performance, but mostly your visual overview over the whole combat event and what you need to take care of and all that stuff. So this is actually my setting of how you can do this. You should always show your own battle effects if you're not having any issues with your holy animation or summoning animation or anything like that. Yeah, I think holy is the best example. If you're getting annoyed by this animation that the screen is getting too bright, then you can also click on show limited, and this will also not show your own holy animation in that way. Sometimes I don't like it because you don't get the feeling of what happens, but sort of, this is recommended for your party. So even if it looks way more natural and way more useful than having all your animations being shown on the screen, on your animation screen, sometimes it gets really distracting and confusing if you have them shown all, especially in 24-man raids. You can't see a single thing that's happening. And for my content creation, little side note, leaving at least the basic things being not displayed is better, because all the animations, for example, this holy animation will crash the footage. Look at the bitrate. The bitrate just gets crushed by the animation here. If you see the screen naturally, this looks actually very nice and has very nice details on it. But as soon as you're using the spell, it gets blurry on the content creation level. So if you upload that to YouTube, just a side note, but to be honest, for having a good overview, you should put this to show limited and maybe others to show limited or show none as well. Okay, and yeah, this is actually everything I know about how you can optimize your hardware. And note that all your optimization gets crushed by big A-rank trains. You can't reach very nice 120, 140 FPS when being in an A-rank train because of the server code that reduces the input information that you can receive or anything like that. So yeah, always take that into consideration when you're joining an A-rank train or 24-man raids or big alliance stuff, maybe in the new relic weapon content. Okay, sorry for that long video. I hope that I could help you, and still have to thank you for your kind words in the last days and in the past video and the comment section overall. Keep it up. I will upload some Anima Relic weapon guides in the next days. Have another stats and materia video coming up in the weekend, so stay tuned on YouTube. Maybe I will do some live streaming on Twitch as well. Not sure about this in the next week because, yeah, I told you I'm on vacation with my wife, so I'm sorry about that. Thank you for watching. For all those that watched the whole video, I'm very thankful for that. Yeah, keep it up, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep loving Final Fantasy.